Hello, and welcome to another episode of Crizzy Film. I'm Crizzy, or Criz, but only my homeboys call me Criz. And today I'm going to be doing a review for the 1984 slasher horror film Silent Night, Deadly Night. In Silent Night, Deadly Night, we follow young Billy Chapman as he goes with his parents and his baby brother Ricky to visit his grandfather, who lives in some kind of mental institution. Grandpa's nonverbal, kind of sits with the 100,000-yard stare, and is seemingly the only patient in the building. And Billy's parents, being the loving and protective people that they are, along with the doctor who's watching over Grandpa, all leave little Billy in the room with him while they go to do something. And as soon as everybody leaves, Grandpa comes back to reality in the scariest way possible and starts ranting very angrily and scarily at young Billy about Santa and Christmas. He tells Billy that if he sees Santa Claus tonight, he better run because Santa punishes those who are naughty. And conveniently, after traumatizing his grandson, Grandpa goes back into his little staring into space shtick. And then the family leaves, and we are given a scene of a man in a Santa Claus suit who robs a liquor store and then shoots the clerk. And it's getting dark outside, and Billy and his family are driving down a dark, wooded road when they see a Santa Claus and what appears to be a broken down car. Being the nice people that they are and seeing no danger in something as suspicious as this, Billy's parents pull over and ask Santa, "Hey, what's going on? Do you need a ride?" He doesn't at all. He ends up brutally murdering Billy's parents while Billy, who has run away, is watching from the woods, and his infant brother Ricky is screaming in the car. And this whole experience then solidifies Billy's fears of Santa Claus from his crazy grandfather into his head. We flash forward a couple years where we see Billy and Ricky living in a Catholic orphanage where the trauma that Billy experienced festers and grows, especially during Christmas time. Billy is constantly punished by the Mother Superior for having episodes and PTSD from watching his parents be brutally murdered by Santa Claus. Over the years, Billy grows up and becomes quite a hunk. He gets a job at a toy store where he works with a drunken, lazy Italian and a manager that I think might be gay for him. I don't know, I couldn't really tell. He's a good worker. He crushes on a girl who works there. But then, at around Christmas time, he gets made to dress up as the store's Santa. And this just triggers all kinds of flashbacks for him. He already is struggling with this because obviously his parents were brutally murdered by a Santa Claus. And then on Christmas Eve, the last day of the season for them, they all get shit-faced after closing. Billy's crush and the Italian go into the back to make out, and Billy, still dressed up as Santa Claus, creeps into the back to watch and get heartbroken. Then the Italian tries to do something that is very bad to his crush, which then triggers Billy's PTSD, and he strangles the Italian with Christmas lights. And then he stabs his crush, and then he proceeds to hunt and kill all the rest of the employees because they are naughty. We follow Billy around town where he kills people for being naughty. We're also following the police as they try to track down Billy and stop him from hurting anybody else. And they are being helped by the only nun in the orphanage who has even an ounce of empathy for Billy and his situation. And finally, they figure that he's probably going to end up going to the orphanage. A cop goes there and he sees Santa walking up, and without hesitation shoots him in the back and kills him in front of several orphans. But it was just the deaf priest from across the street, so it doesn't really matter. Nobody really seems fazed by this at all, honestly. But that police officer ends up getting his karmic justice in the end. While the children and the nuns are all hiding inside, awaiting for Billy to show up, he does. And in his attempt to cut down the woman who ruined his life, the Mother Superior, he shot and killed, and all of the people who could probably be held responsible for Billy's demise are never held responsible for anything. I had never seen this movie before, and it was playing at a late night showing at my local Alamo Draft House, and I just felt that I needed to finally go and see this movie. I had heard so much about it. It has kind of a cult following. It's considered one of the best Christmas time horror movies. So I went, and I am so glad that I did. The crowd wasn't huge, but everybody was having fun. We were all laughing together. It was a really great experience, and it really enhanced how I feel about the movie, I think. Is this a good movie? I don't know. That's pretty subjective. Probably not. But did I really enjoy this movie? Yeah. I did quite a bit, actually, which really surprised me. This film had a lot of notoriety when it released, and I'm not really sure why. I think just people are crazy, but the marketing for this was showing Santa being violent, which this was not the first of its kind, but for some reason people freaked out about this. Siskel and Ebert hated it. Everybody hated this movie. I don't hate this movie, though. I think at its core, it has a super tight story about PTSD and derangement, and it makes those things really sympathetic. I think it also has a lot of really fun and great kills that are super memorable. So let's get into everything that I loved about Silent Night, Deadly Night. First of all, the acting and the characters, great 80s camp. I loved everything about this. Some of the standouts, I would say, are the grandpa, who is genuinely so scary that I can believe the trauma that Billy experienced. The murder of his parents was so well done, so effective, so brutal, and having Billy on the side of the road watching the whole thing, listening to the screams of his baby brother, it all just creates this atmosphere of just like sinking, oh my god, I can't believe what I'm watching. And then in the orphanage, Mother Superior, her sternness and just complete lack of care towards Billy, all just adding to this perfect storm of what he's going to become later. And even the actor of young Billy in the orphanage, not a great actor, but there's just something so magnetic about him. And I mean, take a drink every time he says, yes, Mother Superior. And older Billy, I mean, what a piece of ass, am I right? His acting is not very great, but I think it was just a really great choice of taking this good-looking guy and turning him into this insane murdering Santa. Also, every time he says, naughty, before he swings his axe at somebody's head, I loved it. His coworker, who I hated, really the only crime that he actually committed was being Italian. He deserved what he got. The store owner is hilarious. He has so many one-liners. He's awesome. The kills in this were so fun and creative and messed up, and I loved all of it. I mean, obviously the iconic deer antlers of him putting the girl up onto the antlers, impaling her, the axing of the cop in the shed at the orphanage, while not very inspiring, I just feel like the way that it was shot and this slow panning into this dirty, really like disturbing looking like step basement thing, and the cop and everything, it was just like very grotesquely beautiful to me. And my favorite being the sled where the bully gets his head chopped off and then his body is still on the sled and it rolls in front of his friend. Oh, so good. I can't get over how much I love that. But really what makes this movie so good, I think, is the story. It has such a strong story, and I really felt for Billy and his issues, and we get to see him grow up and where him turning into this murderer comes from, and all of the people who refused to acknowledge or help him. There was only one nun in the entire orphanage who could see that he had problems and wanted to help him, and she was never allowed to. Mother Superior thought that she could just beat the trauma out of him, but she's only really making it worse. And yeah, I just found Billy to be a really sympathetic and tragic character. The story just really makes this such a great movie. Overall, I'm gonna give Silent Night, Deadly Night a 4 out of 5. This is a really great, fun, new Christmas time favorite for me. There might be some pacing issues at times, but I think that the rest of the movie is so solid that it doesn't really matter. Great story, fun acting, really memorable moments and characters. It's great. You got to check this one out if you haven't seen it. I intend to watch the sequels, which I hear are pretty mixed from garbage to great, so we'll see. So look out for those reviews at some point. But what do you think? Have you seen Silent Night, Deadly Night? Do you love it? Do you not love it? Sound off in the comments below. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and as always, thank you for watching. Bye.